and welcome back to It's Giving Realty Podcast, the podcast that gives you all the realty in real estate. Everything you want to know, we are aiming to give it to you. Today, I am joined with one of my favorite clients because we're going to talk about the home ownership experience, but also the owner of Sophisticated Tax Lab LLC. Okay, you heard that tax part, right?
Yes.
It's very important. Miss Alicia, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Feeling a little weird calling you Alicia, because that's sissy to me. Okay, she's like family, but her name is Alicia. She is the owner of Sophisticated Tax Lab, and you've saved me. Let's not get all I'm sorry. I got to learn to stay focused. Okay.
Focus.
So I did want you to come on. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank
first
you for
of all,
having me.
It's my honor. It's a pleasure. And I've been having people who I know, like in their everyday life, would not be sitting in front of a camera and talking. So that just is a testament to how much you guys love me, and I appreciate that.
Love you so dearly.
So I wanted you to talk about your home ownership journey first, because you purchased in a time where the market was so crazy. It was definitely a seller's market. It was during the time interest rates were super low, and so we had a lot of buyers. So I wanted us to cover that, and then I also wanted us to talk about taxes, because I think it's so important to home ownership. A lot of times, it determines whether or not they can or they can't. So we'll start with the one and then transition to the other. Is that okay?
That's perfect.
Okay, so let's talk about home ownership first. Why did you decide you want to own? Let's start there.
I think I decided I wanted to own. I think I just wanted to be able to provide, or not necessarily provide, but to offer something to my kids.
Yeah. Okay.
I wanted them to have, if whenever I leave here, that they have something, that could be just theirs.
Okay. That's more than enough motivation.
Yes.
The kids will, people don't get that. If you have kids, it's like you are okay with kind of just existing, making sure everything gets, paid, stay out of jail, pay stuff on time. That's it. But then you have kids and it's like, I don't know, you're so pushed and so motivated to do more and leave a legacy.
Yeah, you just really want to offer your kids more. And especially in today's economy, you have to do more in order to at least try to leave their legacy for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So you say to yourself, okay, I need to own something. I got to leave something for them. So then when do you start the journey to get to home ownership?
Well, for me, I started the journey when number one is saving the money, because I knew when I got to that table that I was going to have to come up with money. Okay. And then the second step was for me working out if there was any problems going on with my credit. Okay. That's major.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right there. So for me, that's what I did. Okay. My journey, I started that. I decided that's what I wanted to do. So I knew I needed to get those things in place. And we also had a conversation about what I needed to do. Yeah. It was, in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, it was a little discouraging, because I kept saying it's gonna take me too long to save the money. It's gonna take me too long to get these things together, and it really didn't. It really didn't. Once you put your mind to something and you focus on it, you can get it done. Quicker than you think.
See, you better. No, because I'm proud of you, and I said that before, and you was like, I'm gonna see. That's like this you all the time. I'm gonna see what I can do. I'm gonna try to see. I'm like, you're gonna do it, and obviously you did. Yeah. And I feel like that's a lot of people. It's not just you. I think we often internalize like, I need to figure this out. No, it's life. It's the human experience. I hear people say, I can't afford to buy a house so many times, and I say to them, how much does it cost to buy a house? And like, I don't know, but I can. So how can you say you can't afford something you don't even know? So my goal is to give you the tools and say, like, when we sat down, I'm like, this is what it's looking like for you to own. And in your defense, you purchased at a time where I could not get a ton of concessions from the seller. And concessions is like a lot of closing costs, this, that, and the third, because we were in a market where they were getting multiple offers for a house. So this was right after COVID. Interest rates were like 2% and 3%. We'd seen houses that had 20 offers on them. So usually, like, today's market is definitely a buyer's market. There are more houses than buyers. So every deal that I've done in this market, I can get my buyers closing costs. They paying my fee. There's all these things. That was not your market, and so I said it to say, so you knew you had to come up with something because of that market. And once we had a conversation and we talked about like what it looked like, you got it done. So I say that to say people watching, when they say, "Oh, I can't afford it," like, have a conversation with somebody, see what that number looks like, and then make a plan, and you too can own your home. Like,
yes.
So you saved up. We start shopping.
Yes.
That was that was eventful.
Yes, that was a time, and the reason why it was such a crazy time, because actually we went through the whole process of getting pre-approved. I got pre-approved. Yeah. And then that's another thing about buying a house, and if you're adamant about where you want to stay, what type of house you want, that humbles you. Yeah. That first time I went, I had to humble myself, because I said I wanted a new house. I don't want a house that's already been there. I want a newly built house. But that wasn't the situation I was in to get that. Yeah. And I wanted to live in a certain area. There was nothing in the area that I wanted to live in. Even when I expanded out, I think we went to look at a house. And then something came through. They called and said, well, if this hasn't been done or whatever, we can't go through with it. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know we never went and looked at that house, because I think it was the last one in that area. And once that happened, I think I took a year. After that, it was a year before we went back shopping. Yeah. Before we went back to the table, it was a year later.
Yeah, because we were the market that we were shopping in, and part of the reason I wanted to have you on, because everybody's journey is different. Right. And I've had clients on where we could look, and the next week we find a house. I have clients, there's all these different versions of variations of stories, right? I've had clients on where they had money at home, and we can't use that. They can't count that. The lenders need a paper trail. They have to be able to see where your money coming from. So now you have to put it in the bank, and it has to sit for a while for it to be validated money, because they just were not bank people. They were keep it at home people, because they were, like they said, Katrina babies, where they lived in a time where the banks were not accessible. You couldn't get your funds. Yeah. Exactly. So anybody in that time had started at least saving a little bit of something elsewhere, right? Yes. So there are so many different scenarios for things. And in your case, this was not a quick situation. And it was nothing you did wrong. You saved the money, the credit was right, but the market was so and people were paying, I don't know if people realized during this time when the interest rates were so low, people were paying $20,000 and $30,000 over asking price. Yes. People were paying more. People were paying more than the appraised value, like paying the difference. Because what that market did was allow people who could never have bought at that time to purchase. So they were not letting that opportunity slip away. Wow. So in our case, the house that we went and saw, what happened was it was actually they accepted an offer. So it may not have been it may not have gone through. So if they hadn't gotten the deposit to them at a certain time, they were still willing to entertain that. So they had gotten the deposit. That's what it was. So that's what it was. Yeah. But it was something. They had an offer. They accepted the offer, but you have to get an earnest money deposit in for it to make it official, essentially. So they were waiting on that, but it did come in. And the reason we waited a year, it wasn't purpose. It wasn't like, oh, we just nothing. We just don't want to do it. Nothing. There was nothing. It was like houses would come and they would be gone before we could even see them. And then you kind of got to a point where it was like,
well, I also think if I remember correctly, I decided to wait a year because I got the pre-approval that time. But then when we met the second time, it was a different pre-approval because I knew my financial situation was going to be different. Yeah. So that
we started playing with more money, essentially.
Yeah, playing with more money, and I was able to get more house. Yes. Instead of just rushing into something just because, hey, I'm approved for a house. Exactly. I wanted something. This is an investment. This is the biggest investment I've ever made in my life. So it needed to be something I was comfortable with.
Absolutely. And initially when we started out, the budget was not as lofty as we wanted it. And it wasn't because you weren't making what you needed to make. It was simply because people don't realize what they do and don't count against you when they look at your finances. Right. So I get people all the time, I make good money, make good money, especially like my business owners, which is why I want to talk about taxes, who are making 6+ figures and but then you're writing everything off, and on paper you make $30K, and you're like, I want to buy $500,000. Where? And so you make money, but how do you prove it to the bank? So in your case, it wasn't anything of that nature. It was just because of the things that they counted, it limited what you could purchase. And so rewind, the time when we waited, that was not the low interest time. At that time, it was just the budget wasn't what we wanted it to be, and you didn't like the houses that we saw. No. Now, when we got back into the market, that's when the interest rate was low, and that we had more budget and more flexibility.
Yes.
And so we there was one house you loved, and that one didn't fall through. And then I said, I see one that I really like. It's a little bit of a different area than, not in a bad way, just, a little bit further out. Do you want to go see it? And he was like, I mean, at this point, yeah. He was like, so at this point, I want to see it.
So that's why I said about really humbling myself. When it was time to buy a house, I mean, I had these unrealistic.
It wasn't, but it was for that market.
Expectations, yeah, because I wanted to have a garage. I wanted to have this, and I wanted all of those things. So I kept it I was in my mind, like, I don't want to buy it unless it has this. Yes. I had my non-negotiables, I guess.
Yes, which we technically still got.
We just had to move out
the non-negotiables. Yes, we just had to move out of the city. Like, yes, that's what people don't realize. The city is. I love New Orleans. Don't get me wrong. If you build a new construction here, you will likely get the things that you want. But these homes are older. They are not going to give. Especially, you got to think time changes. So the things that you want are changing from whatever was 50, 100 years ago. And these houses are 100 plus. So when you're talking about this, I want this, 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 and this. Like, a garage is not as common as you would think. The square footage is not as big as you would think. Right. Unless it's these new homes, and I'm talking individual builders. I'm not talking about like a DR Horton or DSLD, because they even come in a little, compact. Exactly. so I'm like, sissy, I can get you all of that. But in budget. Because let me say that too. You can get that in the city, but you're going to pay good money. So, it's a compromise. It's a compromise on what matters most. And you wanted to keep your non-negotiables. So we ended up going a little bit further out. And we found the house.
It was well worth it, I can honestly say. I do know that in buying that house and making that offer, and what was so nerve-wracking to me, because when I walked it, when I got to the neighborhood, I knew. I was like, oh, I like this.
Yes.
So I pulled in the driveway. I said, oh, I really like this. So when I walked inside, I was like, yeah, I like this. I was like, okay, I want this. This the house I want. This it. And keep in mind, when I looked at the house, it was maybe a week before. I don't remember what hurricane that was.
Yes. I want to say Gustav, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't remember what hurricane it was. And it came through and it hit La Place. But I think you contacted me and told me that they accepted the offer.
Yes.
Now keep in mind, when I made this offer, I think it was like a large number. I had to beat out everybody else.
Yes, we did. So, okay, when a house gets multiple, we wrote a letter too. Remember, I don't know if you remember that. Oh, I wrote a letter on your behalf. So this is how this is how ridiculous the market had gotten. When you put an offer in during the time when they dropped the interest rates to 2% and 3%, right? A lot of houses were getting multiple offers. So they would call for what's called highest and best. Like, what is your highest and best offer that you're willing to do? Now, as your realtor, I'm going to suggest you go, if you really want it, your highest and best, but your highest and best.
Right.
Like, we're not about to say what we can't afford to do, right?
Right. Of course not.
So I'm like, hey, it's highest and best. And we didn't pay more. When you got your appraisal, your house was worth more than we paid for. So we didn't pay more than it was worth. We paid more than the list price. But I feel like that was the agent being very smart by listing it under to get highest and best. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I remember when I was talking about the house, I was like, this size house, it costs this, and you was like, they've been making it more attractive.
Exactly. So they knew what they were doing right. So they got multiple offers. So we put in highest and best. And I'm not gonna say my secret, because if you want my secret, you got to use me as a realtor. But there's another thing that I do when we do highest and best that almost always guarantees that we're gonna win the bid.
Okay.
But then during that time, people were writing letters too. So I wrote a letter to the owner from you.
Oh wow.
Just letting them know, how, hi, my name is Alicia, and I have a family, and I will love your home the way, blah, blah, blah. Because people are emotionally attached to their home. People don't, like, when you live there with your family, and this is a family home, you could tell by how it was kept up. So anyway, so yes, so we got the offer accepted. We're so excited.
And then
the storm hits. And we did have damage, unfortunately.
Yes.
So it delayed our process again.
Yes.
But I was proud of you, because that time you were like unwavered. Like, before, it was like something happened, you're like, I don't know. this might be. This time you were like, when they gonna finish fixing that?
Yes. When I tell you my nerves was bad. And she was like, well, Sissy, if they do anything, I'm going to let you know. I mean, just one thing I can say about you, Stylist. You always kept it honest. And not only, you did, but you had to do it with me because I had to understand what was going on. Like, I needed to know each and every step. And I was that client. I'm sorry. I was that client. So, therefore, I needed to know each and every step. Mm-hmm. They're not moving. They're not doing anything. She said, oh, there's no lights. I went to the house. I'm like, they have lights. I didn't want to lose the house.
Yes. So the storm had the lights out on the street first and then also on the house. Sissy is going to check everything I say. I'm like, trust me. But it also, remember, it was an insurance claim. So it wasn't them that was holding it up. They had to wait. They were able to make an insurance claim. That's why you have to have insurance. So they were able to make a claim, but sometimes insurance does not move as you would like for it to move. It just, So that was the slowness of it all. Then I had to argue with your lender. I don't know if you remember that. Because he had so see, you blocked some of this out because unfortunately,
I got the house.
Right, all right, which is great. But I unfortunately had to share stuff with you that I would normally not share with a client. Like I usually would just keep it all, and just handle it. But you're like, no, I need to know. And so I had to tell you that the lender had emailed them stating that they could not, like it was indefinite, that we couldn't move forward to the selling side because of the damage.
Oh, okay.
And so the listing agent was like, are y'all not wanting to move forward? Like, well, where did you get that from? Well, the lender said, so I called the lender. Well, I don't work with that lender anymore, but bless his heart. Mm-hmm. He did call him, but he messed up a few files and I had to let him go, but he did call and apologize and I wish him all the best. But I don't like assumptions. You don't assume anything. When I called, I said, why did you tell them that? Well, a storm just happened. I assume there's damage. I said, assume? I was like, yes, there is damage, but not to the point. Yes.
I do remember
I was so livid because I'm so communicative and you're calling and telling people. Because the thing was, there were so many houses in that area that was basically completely gone.
Further
and so,
down.
right. Yeah. And so he made a general assumption, but, we prayed over that house. That's why it had minor damage. It just was the insurance claim that delayed it. But yeah, he made me so upset because the listing agent was like, you should tell me we have a backup offer. I wish you would.
Oh, no.
Take that backup off. So it was a lot, but at the end of the day, we got the house. It was everything we wanted and more. I love your house.
Yes,
it feels like home.
Too,
And so to me, you are a lesson in, like, first of all, timing is everything. God's timing, not our timing. Put in the work, ask the questions, do the work, you'll have it, and then just keep fighting for what you like. Once he tells you this is yours, just keep fighting for it. Right. And no matter how much I fight, it doesn't matter if you quit on me. So I commend you because you stuck with it. And
I wanted that house.
Yeah, and now it's yours, babe. And now
it's yours.
So transitioning from ownership to owner of a business, right? Because we did talk about the cost of it all and income and what you qualify for. So as a tax person, right, transitioning from your client mode to business mode, what are some of the common things you see individuals do on their taxes that you would be like, don't do that if you're trying to buy?
So the most common thing that I see is business owners, they write so much off. Mm-hmm. And they write it off because they don't want to pay the IRS. And I completely understand. We all understand. We don't want to pay the IRS. However, if you're trying to make a big purchase and you're writing everything off, your bottom line starts to shrink. Yeah. And once that line starts to shrink, there isn't anything that you can do. So I have a client, a current client of mine, and before she purchased her house, she talked to me. We had a conversation about what she needed to do, and she knew she needed to stop writing everything off. Mm-hmm. So she did that. In the next year, she was able to purchase her house, the house that she wants. She actually built her house. Right. So that actually worked out for her. Another thing I see business owners doing that's trying to buy a house because what you need to know is when a bank or the lender, whoever that is, asks for all your financials, they're looking at your bank statements too. So if you're a business owner, you have to have a business bank account. You can't be operating your business bank account, your business out of a personal account. And if the lender, I'm just gonna assume that if you have, say for instance, you have a personal account that you're operating your business out, but you're telling the lender that this is your income, this is your business income, but legally, if the IRS audits you, and you're operating out of that, that's just commingling funds, and you're not supposed to do that. Yeah. So that's another thing too. We have to make sure that you have all your business in order. You have all the licensings that you need. Your your licensing. You got to make sure you have that. Make sure that you have your business bank account. Mm-hmm. You have to have that. Keep good records. Yes. And if a lot of people don't know that your bank account, you can go in and itemize it and give it to your tax person to even file your tax returns. Mm-hmm. So you can do that. I don't know if all banks do it, but I know the common ones like Chase and the big banks or whatever, they do it. Another thing I would suggest or that I have seen is they'll come to me after they got their taxes filed. Can you change this so it wouldn't have all the write-offs? Because I'm trying to buy a house. No, ma'am, I can't. And I'm going to tell you why I can't. Mm-hmm. Because it raises a red flag with the IRS. You asking for an audit. Mm-hmm.
And you're not trying to introduce that into your life. At all. Not me. And let me say too, a lot of businesses that are writing a lot of stuff, they're legally doing it. It's not like
it's not illegal.
Like this is the thing, the expenses that exist. So I have to tell people this all the time too, because they're like, well, this is what I really paid. I understand that, but in this moment, we need you to take the loss to get the win. To get where you know, because in their minds, like, I don't want to have to pay for that because I did have this expense and that expense and that expense, but it doesn't look good for the lender. So having somebody that like you that is guiding them makes a world of difference for me as a realtor, and then for my lender when I send them, So even now, especially for people who like when they call me in December after the holidays, I want to buy a house. I said, did you file your taxes yet? Okay, let me put you on my lender. Let me put you on my tax person. Because we want everything, especially if they say they own a business. We want everything to be what it needs to be so that they can get into the house they need. Moving forward past that, do what you want. They're gonna come back to you.
You can write everything off at that point if that's what you want.
That's legally allowed, absolutely. Yes. But while we trying to buy, that's very important. So, for me, I want to always make sure they're in the best position, And I partner with individuals like yourself, individuals like my lender, to make sure we're gonna give you everything you need to succeed. If you don't succeed, you just didn't want to. Like you
didn't put in the work.
You didn't put in the work. You just didn't want to.
Oh, you didn't take the guidance. You just did it the way you wanted to do. So it didn't work out.
So it did not work out. Period. Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other thing as a tax person? It doesn't even have to be specifically real estate related, mm-hmm. but as someone who does taxes, that you wish other people knew when they came to you, so it wouldn't be, I guess, like a difficult file or taxing on a person.
A difficult file?
Yeah, like you're looking at the tax, you're like, I wish you would have called me so you could have just did this instead of this.
Oh yeah, that happens a lot.
I know, but give us the guidance so we can do better.
So, for me and my clients, I love my clients. I have a great relationship with all of my clients. They know they can reach me anytime during the year. So here is my suggestion. You have a tax person that's filing your taxes for whatever it is that you're trying to do. If you get it in your mind, you want to, whatever it is, you want to start a new business, you want to make sure it's that business is formed correctly, call me. Or call your tax person, should I say. Call your tax person. But if you're my client, go ahead and call me. I don't mind my clients calling me at any time, because I'm there. I always answer questions. It could be the smallest thing. I do have a client who calls me every time she changed jobs and got to fill out the W-4, and that's no exaggeration.
I think I know that client.
You know that client every single time, and I'm always there to help her. I'm gonna always be there. But however, anything that you think,
it's not me, by the way. It sounds like it was me.
But you know her.
But I know.
But it's okay. I do suggest that any financial decision that you're trying to make that you're going to have to use your income for, contact your tax preparer, whoever that may be. I would also suggest that if, as a business owner, that you start keeping accurate documentation. For example, I have one client every single year. he brings me actual paper receipts.
You told me about him.
Of everything. Like a huge file. Now, I do let him know that there's electronic things that you can do where you can just download this paper and send it to me. But however, because I love my clients, I go above and beyond for them. So just keep good records, whatever it is, because if you audit it, that actually would be easier to sometimes depending on what the audit is about, it would be easier to have the paper receipts versus them actually going through your bank statement or wherever you did the purchase. You did the purchase.
And I am not that client either.
You getting there?
I'm.
This supposed to be a better year for us.
Why you gotta in front of people?
It's okay. It's okay.
I do what I can. You know what I mean? I'm not the worst, not the best.
No, you're not.
Right there in the middle. You know, half of the stuff she remembers, but it's not because I'm so focused on my clients and getting you guys into homes. And then at the end of the year, I'm like, this is what we've done. Help me.
I got you.
And you do. You take great care of me. I am a client that calls you when I have questions, and I do appreciate having that. I think there's sometimes we get on the call and you're like, I have a real estate question, but you go first with your tax question. Yes. And then I'm gonna go with my real estate question. So we usually tag team, which I think is funny. I'll be like, well, no, if yours is more important, I'll be like, girl, just go. And I'm like, so I was wondering, and then you'll come back with, now about this insurance. So, you know, we've been on the phone before, basically guiding each other in our, you know, perspective realm. So I really appreciate that. So I am not just a supporter, I'm also a client. Yes. So, and you can be too, you know. If you need a tax person, I highly suggest her. She's great at what she does. She's very insightful, and you're always looking for more. I love that because as a business owner, especially as a business that makes whatever I make, there are, you know, it gets costlier is what I'll say, you know, to file taxes. There are just not enough benefits for I'm gonna say, you know, middle class, lower or upper middle class. It's just somebody said middle class doesn't exist at this point because it's so costly. Exactly. And so you are always doing research to see what we can, what we cannot, how can we get more credit, how can we get, you know, this, that, and the third. And I appreciate that because I would like to keep more of my money. I know everyone would, right?
Yes.
So if that's your goal, make sure you call her. I want you to give them your contact, and then I would like to give you a little gift before we, you know, it's nothing big, okay? She be getting so, you know, emotional or whatever. But before we exit out, I do want you to tell them how they can reach out, how they can get connected to you if they need help with their taxes or looking for a new tax person.
Okay, so if you're looking for a new tax person or you have tax questions, feel free to contact me. I can give you my phone number, 504-356-7777. You can call or you can text. I get that. We're on all social media platforms at Sophisticated Tax Lab LLC. And I'm available year round.
Yes. Because taxes does not start in December.
No.
That's the thing.
It starts January 1.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I tell people about real estate. When you call me talking you want to buy a house, that's not when we start. We should have started a while ago so that when you were ready to buy, you could actually buy.
Be ready.
Same thing with taxes. So make sure you reach out. And before you leave me, let me give you a little something. Thank you, producer. This is from me and the team to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I open it?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Thank you. So many of our clients liked the the mugs and the things that we were using. So we're like, let me just give it. And I also have a little mailer in there for you. Hold on. So this is my new mailers, right? I mail out, but I added QR codes on the back, so it has like the Mardi Gras schedule for parades and all that good stuff. Because you know we're from New Orleans, so that's important, right? It's right there with doctor's appointments. Right up there. We have the festival, and this is evergreen. So like next year, you can still scan it; it will still be updated. Yep, and then scan for help, you know, if you need me. But you got my phone. Scan for that. So yes, I just want to give you a little something.
Sissy, this is beautiful.
You're welcome for joining us, and thank you all for joining us. And again, I hope that this has been helpful or insightful for you. It could be January when you see this. It could be February, March. I don't know when you stumbled on this page, but it doesn't matter. It's never too late to call someone like Sissy, like Alicia, to get your taxes. Like, don't be calling me Sissy when you call.
I'm here.
You know, to get your taxes done. So it's very important to have a solid team. That is how you become successful, having solid people in your corner, whether it's to buy real estate or investments to grow your portfolio or just to make sure your taxes is correct. So you have the contact info if you need her. And of course, if you have questions, if there's more that you want to see from us, you can email us at stylist@realestatewithstyle.org. Okay, you can follow us at It's Giving Realty Podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube at It's Giving Realty Podcast. Same thing on IG and TikTok. And again, if you have questions, email us, DM us, whatever you need. We're going to do the best that we can to get you the answers to make sure you can start your real estate journey or elevate it. Until next time.